Hey, Wadcasters. I don't think that's a good name for you. I'd love to come up with a name for the people that listen to the show. When I did Talking Shit, they were the Shitheads. The Bingle Show, they were the Bingleberries. I'd like to have a way to address the people that listen to this show. If you are one of those people, I appreciate your listenership. As always, this episode is, if you've been following the show for a while, is an interesting episode. I go to a place I don't usually go. We went deep. The guest today is Logan Gelbich, who is a good friend, known him for a long time. Always one of those guys that I'm really happy to see when I see him. He's just a solid dude. One of those guys you'd want in a foxhole with you, that kind of guy. He's a brilliant guy. He's been at the forefront of everything when it comes to CrossFit, knowing which way the trends are going, runs an exceptional gym, Deuce CrossFit. I don't just say that because that was the home of the Wadcast for 3 years, but from his early start days, which we don't really talk about because I think you guys have known a lot about Logan from the show and from other podcasts he's done, from his start at CrossFit LA and moving on to I forget what he called it. I think it was Fitness on the Bluff or something that they did an outdoor exercise training, not facility, but training classes that they did, and then they eventually moved into the location where they are, and they've spread to a few other locations in Los Angeles. He's just been very successful and teaches his own seminars, and he's a strong man, does some incredible stuff. Great guy, former Major League Baseball player. I can't say enough about Logan. But this podcast, we really get into some of what is the meat of his new book. His book is called Going Right, A Logical Justification for Pursuing Your Dreams. It's available on Amazon right now, and it just came out. So if you're going to buy it now. And if you're a fan of Logan's or his work, it really helps if you get it right away, because then it boosts them in Amazon, and then other people see it and see that it's popular and they buy it. And I think, knowing Logan and know what we've talked about, I haven't even read the book myself, but I've seen what he's been working on, talked to him about it many times, and I'm excited to read it. And I think you will be too. So check out the book, check out everything Logan's working on. And, thanks for listening to the show. Most of all, everything I do goes into the podcast recording of the show. I don't do very much on social media because, as you'll see, I kind of have an aversion to it. It's very important in this world we live in. I know it's like I'm a CrossFitter that doesn't do snatches. Hey, that's me. I don't like it. And I've been talking about finding a person to fulfill that duty. It'd be very difficult. I can't even take a photo or a video. I've fallen off the video when I go to do the podcast because I wasn't seeing much traction in the video where you guys were watching the videos. I think that's what this is. It's an audio podcast. I don't believe it is a video podcast. If you tell me you think differently or you are enjoying the videos, let me know. Because I go on Patreon and I go, hey, you wanna watch the videos? It's $3. If you want to get a Myopux and a leopard claw, maybe it's $5. And everybody's signing up for $5. So it's not like anyone wants to see the videos. Anyways, who wants to see my ugly mug? People really are interested in the Myopux, as you should be, because it's an incredible device. If you are looking to clear out gunk, I call it gunk. I don't know what it is. If you're looking to, first of all, there's a leopard claw. That's the first thing you do, which you will get if you donate $5 to the Patreon. You're not going to get one. You might get one. We give out one each week, and we also give one to the guest. And Myopux has been great to us, and they also do some great stuff with the Resiliency Project that takes care of the soldiers downrange who get injured often and try to get them back fighting and doing what they do, supporting our, taking care of our country and protecting us. So they work very hard for that. I know the owner is a former military guy and believes wholeheartedly in that. But the Myopox it's a portable wireless TENS and EMS electronic muscle simulator stimulation device, and it's so simple. All the other ones have tons of wires, are incredibly complicated. This one does the exact same stuff, but it's very easy. You just put the pods, you hook them up to the pads, put it on your muscle that you want to stimulate, and then you go on your little, it looks like a little iPhone, and you just press turn on here and do what you do, and it does all different kinds of stimulation. It can work as a TENS, it can work as an EMS, it can work as both, and what it's going to do, it's going to flush all of that waste out. I call it gunk. I don't know if that's a real word, gunk, but it flushes that all out into gunk. It's here. I'm looking gunk definition, an unpleasantly sticky or messy substance. Yeah. So that gunk that's inside of you gets flushed out to your lymphatic system and helps you recover quicker. So check them out. A leopard claw actually helps facilitate that also because it breaks up a lot of those adhesions. And so get yourself one of those. You might even be able to get yourself a Wadcast one. Go through our website, wadcastpodcast.com. I don't know if we have. Do we have? I hope we do. They've been so supportive of us. So check them out and check out Logan's book. And as far as me, you want to come see me, I'm performing this week in Edmonton, Canada at the Comic Strip. And I'm only there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's April 4th, 5th, and 6th. I'm not doing the 7th. So it's just Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Come out and see me. It's in that big mall. It's the biggest mall I've ever been in. And there's a CrossFit around there that I go to when I'm there. And the CrossFit scares me a little bit because their RX is like for games athletes. So I'll be going there. I won't be RXing anything. But I think it's called Armory CrossFit. I'm not sure. If you're a member there, let me know. Say hi. Maybe I'll meet you for class. It's always nice to meet up with CrossFitters. It really is. I joke and I sound like a dick all the time, but it's really cool. Because I feel like we're kind of friends. Like I don't know you, but I do believe it's CrossFit Armory. I don't know you, but I feel like I kind of do. And I know you know me. It is CrossFit Armory. You know me because you've listened to countless hours of me doing this show, and I'm pretty honest and revealing. So you're like, oh, I know this fucking weirdo. Anyway, so I'll be there this week. Then I'm going up to Montana on the 12th of April to do one show at the Rialto Theater. That's in Bozeman, Montana. I know there's 3 CrossFits in Bozeman. So if you're one of those CrossFits, please come out. I know they've kind of hit you guys up because the guy that's promoting it is from one of them. And he heard me on the show, asked me to come to Bozeman. I want to go skiing in Big Sky. So I'm going to I just agreed to do the show. It's a small little theater. I'm not going to make any money. My wife's not very happy. She's like, why are you going there? I'm going to have a good time. That's why I'm going. So do some skiing, do some CrossFit maybe, and do some comedy. The 3 things in life I like other than my wife and child. So if you're from one of these CrossFits, I don't know. It's a small little town, but there's apparently CrossFit Bozeman, Altitude Athletics, which is Cold Smoke CrossFit, and True Spirit Cold Fit and Yoga. Ooh, that sounds like a good one. Come check out the show, Rialto Theater downtown. And then I'm off for Easter, and then I will be in Las Vegas at the MGM Theater, which is on, it's not the MGM Theater, the MGM Casino. I'll be at Brad Garrett's Comedy Club. And that is the right on the Strip, the MGM. So it's really fun to play. They put my face on this giant billboard on Sunset, Las Vegas Boulevard. And it's, like back in the day, I don't know, some people still say it's like you've made it when you're on the Strip. I don't know. I feel like I'm has-been. But it's pretty cool to be there, and the shows are great. It's one of the nicest clubs in the world. And I just took a sip of my Harney & Sons cinnamon orange spice tea. How gay am I getting? People get mad when I make gay jokes on this on the show. They go on iTunes and make comments. Anybody that knows me knows I'm the most gay person you'll ever meet. So they're not gay jokes. I love the gays. So yeah, come see me in Las Vegas, or the following weekend I'm in St. Louis at the St. Louis Funny Bone. I don't know what CrossFit to go to in St. Louis. I don't know where I am. Where I usually, to be honest, I go to the closest one. Oh, I do know the one. It's like right down the street from my hotel, and they're really good to me. So who am I? I'm addicted. Just not even be mentioning the club. I feel terrible. You guys have been so good to me, and I go all the time, and it's one of those places that always has really fun workouts where I get somewhat competitive. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the time I go to, there aren't any like fire breathers, and I'm like, hey, I think I can compete with these guys. And so I get into it, and it's really fun. But that is, I'll tell you which CrossFit that is. That's CrossFit Maryland Heights. So I'll see you guys the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I'll be in St. Louis. And then I go back to Las Vegas, right? Again, I'll be at the Comedy Cellar at the Rio in Las Vegas. So check me out there. That's such a fun club. It's a showcase club. And I'll be there. And then a big show in Hollywood. Sunday, May 19th at the Hollywood Improv. What am I saying? What a terrible introduction. The Comedy Store, the world famous Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood, May 19th. I almost went into a Brody Stevens impression. May 19th, the Comedy Store. Enjoy it. Come see me at the Comedy Store in Hollywood, May 19th. And there'll be a bunch of my friends on the show, probably some big celebrities. So that's a good one to come out to. That's a Sunday night, 8 p.m., May 19th. And I'm back at the Comedy Cellar again in Las Vegas. Oh, my God. They really got me. June, I'll be there. June, I'll also be in Atlanta. Then I'm coming to New York to do Skankfest. I'm going to be in Yonkers. I'm going to be at the Comedy Cellar in New York. I'm going to be in Philadelphia, Valley Forge. I've got Dallas coming up, Chicago coming up. I'm going to Ketchum, Idaho. I'm going to, not Ketchum, Boise. I'm going to be in Wilmington, Delaware, Omaha, Nebraska, Fort Worth, Texas. Just booked Reno today. The Comedy Store in San Diego. So lots of dates coming up. If you go to eddyift.com, all my dates are there. Book your tickets. Tell your friends. Come out and see me. If you are from a CrossFit, let me know. Send me a message at wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com. That's wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com. And maybe we can get together, meet up, and we can go wad together, if you know what I mean. We'll do it. We'll take our shirts off and rub nipples and do some handstand push-ups, some snatches, some GHD push-ups and sit-ups and squats and, do the whole thing. So let me know. And thank you to our sponsors today, which are Tiger Balm and Hylete. So enjoy the show. If you need any good food, anything, check out thrive.com. Go to Thrive, get yourself some healthy food. Sign up through our website, wadcastpodcast.com, and you can get yourself some really healthy, real good shit from Thrive Market. It's I think you get 20% off your first order, and they've got like good condiments. Like I talk about the the avocado mayonnaise. They've got barbecue sauce that's paleo. They've got probiotics. They've got bars. They've got wine that is like doesn't have any shit in it. It's like really good, healthy wine. How about that? Who's ever heard of healthy wine? It doesn't have any preservatives. It's non-processed kind of stuff. And it's sustainably sourced. How about that wine? Anyways, you go there. They've got every kind of snack you ever want. They've got stuff from anchovies, which are really good for your omega-3 fatty acids. They've got the Siete chips that I always talk about. My new favorite thing. They have the Simple Mills almond flour crackers. I can go through a bag in like 2 seconds. It's very high in carb. It's made of that same kind of stuff that makes the Siete chips. That the flour, but no, it's not. It's different. This is almond flour. So good though. Coconut oil, extra virgin coconut oil. There's so many good stuff like Justin's almond butter, cashew butter, all kinds of stuff. Just the best. Water filters, you name it. Go to Thrive Market, sign up for this. I'm telling you, you're going to get big boxes in the mail. It's better than Amazon. It's so cheap. You're going to get 25 to 50% off of everything you buy. Some of the stuff that's so expensive in stores, stuff for your pet, stuff for your bath and body, stuff for your kids. My wife does big orders every month from Thrive. You need to do it. Go there, but make sure you click through at wadcastpodcast.com. Just do the little click through. You can do it also for US Wellness Meats, which I contend has the best, healthiest meat out there with the best bacon you'll ever have. Try the bacon, then send me a message and say, thank you, Eddie. I owe you all the happiness in my life because you brought me to happiness with this bacon. The steaks are incredible. They deliver it to your house. You're going to save a lot of money. It's all grass-fed. It's all perfect. So there's 2 places to go, Thrive and US Wellness Meats. Make sure you click through at wadcastpodcast.com. I'm going to help you. You're going to help me. We're going to keep this show going, and I'm going to get it started right now. That was a long introduction. I hope you guys appreciate. I've been getting lots and lots of messages telling me that you like the show. Not so many telling me I hate it. Couple on, places like not Instagram, but iTunes. iTunes is where I'm getting comments that people really hate me. So get a lot of nice ones too, but also, wow, some people. I think there's this one guy out there who I got in a fight with who just really keeps coming at me. Oh, well, fuck them. Enjoy this episode with Logan Gelbich. Welcome to the Wadcast Podcast. I'm Eddie Eft. You know me. I host this show solely and only. It's like free solo. I don't have ropes. I don't have I have a cameraman. I don't even have a cameraman. I got nothing. It's just me and usually a guest. Always a guest. My guest right now, I'm looking at his baseball right now. Can you guess from that? He's a CrossFitter. He's into baseball. It's not Rich Froning. Any other guesses? It's not pee. It's shit.
If you're thinking Rich Froning, you're close.
Logan Gelbich, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for doing it. I appreciate it. I was in Australia thinking, who could I have do my podcast? I'm only home for 3 days before I leave for Edmonton, Canada. And I'm like, who could I have? Who could I have that's LA, that's exciting, that's interesting? And then Logan posts on Facebook that his brand new book is coming out and he wants to do some podcasts. And I was like, oh my God. So Logan is part of the Wadcast podcast. He let us do our podcast at his amazing gym, Deuce, in Venice, for how long did we do it? Probably 3 years or something.
Years,
yeah. So probably about 3 years or something. We did the show out of there. Once the breakup happened, I was able to just take the little Zoom recorder with me everywhere, all over the world. So that is how I'm doing it now. But Logan, congratulations. When does your book officially launch?
Thank you. We've been in pre-sale time, and pre-sale ends tonight at midnight.
Okay, so
tomorrow it's live.
Okay, you're not going to get the pre-sale then. You're going to get the sale.
The sale.
And it'll be on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon right now.
Oh, it's on Amazon right now?
Yeah.
What's the name of the book?
The book is Going Right, A Logical Justification for Pursuing Your Dreams.
And I remember when you were writing this, and you were. My wife would tell me
Back in the 80s.
My wife told me she saw you all the time up at the Soho House.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're even allowed to mention that. If you belong to the Soho House, you're not even allowed to take pictures when you're there. It's this swanky private club that we belong to because my wife's uppity, and I never really got. And weirdly, I have a meeting after this there. But with an uppity friend.
Nice.
But I don't know anyone there. Like, I know some celebrities that I don't know them. I'm like, oh, I know Laird Hamilton or someone you see there.
Yeah.
But you're the only other person I think I know that belongs there.
Well, we got to keep it,
keep the riffraff out.
Yeah, keep it normal. How about that? We'll just keep it normal up there.
Do you still go right there? Is that where
I do? Yeah, I try to go in non-peak hours.
Yeah.
Socialite hours.
I can't believe you can get work done there.
No, if you go during the week early upstairs, it's sweet. It's awesome. It's quiet and chill. On the weekends, it's like a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's better than going to a coffee shop, I guess. I have to start breaking out of my house. It's hard to get work done with a child.
Well, that's sort of it, right? Is when I first started writing the book like 3.5 years ago, we're all in a who's busier competition, so life's crazy. Writing a book doesn't really fit in that, and so my process was I would ride my bike to Minotti's, and like just the length of time it took to ride there was like a way to filter out life and start preparing mentally for writing, and then I could use that as a buffer coming here. But the reason why I explain that is towards the end of the process, I needed to go further than that.
Yeah.
So the drive to Malibu became a bigger buffer to kind of focus up for contributing something to this manuscript,
I like that you said that we're in this life who can do more. I don't know when that happened, but it does exist where I think it's social media. You feel like your life's great and you're doing something, and then you look on the internet, like, oh my God, I'm doing nothing. I'm a loser. I need to get to work.
Yeah. So if we could just send the memo out that we'll just stop doing that, everybody, we could just chill out for a sec.
Do you remember when there used to be this cliche of like a man where like he had the ideal life when he would like lie on the couch with his hand down his pants, drinking a beer and watching TV? Right. And now that's like the antithesis of what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be a jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah.
After our CrossFit class.
Learning 3 languages.
Then yoga, learning 3 languages, and also making the world a better place, being an activist. And, you see some of these people, and you're like, how? What? How did they can't. They can't be doing all this.
You want to know the greatest one of all time? I was going to pull it up, but rather than try to do it, I'll paraphrase. The greatest one of all time I saw on Instagram like last week, and it was I follow like this history one, like that just posts kind of informational things, and it was this picture, same guy, 3 different images. On the far left, you can tell he's like a special operator, and then the middle one, he has like a white jacket, like a medical jacket, and on the far right, he has this like kind of NASA program thing going on. And I'm reading the caption, and I'll paraphrase, and no disrespect to this young man because he's obviously a killer, but let's just say it's Jimmy Chen is his name, and he says Jimmy Chen has over 100 combat operations, has earned the Silver Star and the Bronze Star as a U.S. Navy SEAL, served in Task Unit Bruiser with Chris Kyle and Jocko Willink, and next paragraph. From there, he goes to Harvard Medical School as an MD, earns his residency at Massachusetts General Hospital, this, that, and the other thing. Next paragraph. In 2017, was one of 12 candidates selected from a pool of 18,730 participants to NASA's astronaut space program. ... Next paragraph. He is 35 years old.
Look, I don't wish bad on anyone, and that's amazing, but I hope he suffers from depression. I hope. You know, a lot of times we were just having this conversation yesterday. I had a friend over, and he was talking about he was a former addict, and he was saying that he used to fill his life with drugs and alcohol, and now he fills it with success. And we were talking about how sometimes the most successful people you know are the least happy people, and that's what drives them, is that they work really hard to fill that void. And he was kind of saying that he still is an addict, and he just now, it's like his successes are his drugs.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's, you know, probably a lot healthier than. He's like, well, it can and can't be.
Yeah, potentially.
You can also make it, you know, I've seen a lot of people that I think are really successful end up, you know,
for sure,
ending themselves because of it. Yeah. So I often wonder when you see a guy like that, that's Navy SEAL, doctor, NASA, what is it that drives him so much? Or is it just that he, at such a young age, was so talented and so, you know, his parents had him so focused and did all the right things at a young age that he was all the, because I do think it's like CrossFit. If you learn all the fundamentals correctly, it gets easier the longer you do it because you have the right foundation. So children, it's like with my kid, I try to give her all these like really important things really young because, you know, you stop losing your influence over them. Well, if I can train her now, what's she going to be able to do later in life? Because I gave her really, really good foundations. Is that what made that guy, or is it that he is in so much fucking pain?
Right. Well, that's the trip, is only he knows the answer to that.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, this isn't like a foolproof truth, but there's correlation, maybe not causation. There's correlation between, I think, how you're oriented, meaning like, are you driven to do this work? And by this work, I mean whatever it is, run 120-mile races, do these CrossFit Games thing, run through, you know, MD school, whatever. If you're oriented externally, meaning like you're going to trade this sort of effort or suffering for some external thing, that's one thing. Or are you doing this for some sort of internal orientation? And we know that in intrinsic motivation, meaning motivation that comes from within, like purpose and value systems or whatever, is a motivation that just it burns a little longer, right? Burns a little brighter, and is a little bit more sustainable. But the extrinsic thing, if it never becomes internal, you could be a Navy SEAL, MD, astronaut, and be miserable because it's all external.
Yeah.
Right.
I often wonder that about like David Goggins.
Right.
You know, he talks about he's just a normal, average, everyday guy. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not. And anybody can do this. Yeah, anybody can do this. But what drives you every day to be extraordinary? I get it. It's great. And you're very, very inspirational. And trust me, there are times when I want to like start walking during a run. And I'm like,
yeah,
think about that guy. But at the same time, I wouldn't want his fucking life.
Oh, totally. And he's a guy, I mean, again, only the subject would know, only he would know. But from my position, I think he is aware enough to realize that a lot of what drove him was pain.
Yeah.
You know, you know, that's the beauty, I guess, or the curse of it being subjective.
Yeah.
You know, like, he is impressive in a lot of ways. Doesn't necessarily mean that you'd want his life or I would want his life. But ultimately you'd hope that he is driven by a thing that, you know, fulfills him and makes him happy. It's very possible to be, we know this, really successful, make a lot of money and do it for reasons that aren't really serving you. You know? So
I see it a lot in my business. I see people, a famous manager of comedians one time said that, all comedians have a hole in them, and they're just trying to repair that hole with the laughs, the success, the money, whatever it is. And the bigger your hole, usually the more successful you are.
Totally.
So, you know, you see these guys that have achieved this, like, just Paramount, like they're at the top of the business, and you just have to think to yourself, is that just excruciating pain that got them there? Because I don't know, and that's hard to place a judgment on. I know my own insecurities that drove me. Now what drives me is I got to provide for a family. And that's pretty much what it is, because my insecurities have been quelled a lot, where it's not so much, I remember I used to watch, wouldn't be on the lineup at a show, and I'd be watching a comedian get laughs, and I was like, I need to be on stage right now. And now I walk in a club and they're like, do you want to go on? And I'm like, no, I don't. How much you paying me? No, I'm not going anywhere near that stage. I still love stand-up comedy, but I don't have that need to be on. It's I don't know what happened in my life that I lost it, but I still see people that need that, and they usually are on their way to the top.
Yeah, I think, it's important to, entertain the idea that what we're saying right now, this topic, doesn't necessarily require a judgment. Like, a lot of things can get you into something, extrinsic things. I just want to be famous. I want to feel better about myself. I want to, whatever the thing is. But that can shift, the person who began comedy for you is obviously not the person who's here now. And that's a process that is totally normal and I think acceptable. I've wondered about that, and you specifically, because I know you, because I think I respect comedy. I'm ignorant, of course, as like a practitioner, but I respect comedy as one of the most intellectually driven, difficult tasks that there is. And I also see from a distance, from my ignorant position, the thing that you just said, which is that there is some sort of correlation between the best in the world at it and this sort of darkness, and
we've seen it with a lot of deaths lately,
for sure.
And one of my good friends just a few weeks ago committed suicide. A very famous comedian, and not very famous in the comedy community, not in the, if you're into podcasting, you probably know Brody Stevens. Yeah. And that was, we all knew the pain Brody was in, but we also, when you saw him on a regular basis, he seemed very funny, and there was this, he had achieved a lot, but at the same time never felt like he had achieved anything. And I think what I'm getting to, bringing this full circle, is that I think that's how everybody feels at this point, because of social media and the access to so many different people that are ultimate achievers. These David Goggins people, these and everybody's aware of them. It used to be somebody read a book and you tell somebody about this book you read, but they would never read it. Yeah. Now we all know these people, and everybody's aware of these super performers. Yeah. And it goes on in CrossFit, where everyone watches and sees that, Rich Froning did 4 workouts that day, and they're going, geez, I didn't even do my workout yet. Yeah. How did he do 4? Yeah. Oh, I gotta really up this. I'm starting to feel shitty about myself. Where nobody's, it talks about the unhappiness. I'm hoping this is a phase we're going through as a society, and we're all going to. I watched a war go on Twitter the past couple of days between a friend of mine who trolled someone, and I watched it go on, and he tried to justify it, and I said, you just trash somebody like writing graffiti on a bathroom wall, and he came back at you, and you are blaming him. Right. I said, this is all TMZ. This is all like, when are we going to evolve out of this and back to some kind of, I'd like to see it I've seen this evolving for a few years, where people are just going, and I think now it's everyone is just miserable about it.
I think there's a really big opportunity there, and I'd like to piggyback on your hope that we're evolving past it, because you're right. Where are we in right now? We're in this information age where everything's like hyper connected. Before that, ultra success, and I'm making generalizations here, felt really far away. right? Like there's normal people, and then there's like Oprah and Michael Jordan, and like they live over there and they do different shit than me, right? And now this interconnected thing of the information age and social media sort of increases the amount of awareness we have to everyone. And so it's sort of like blurs the line between successful people and then like all people. So right now it feels like all people are a little bit more successful than they are. And that's sort of like this middle awkward phase where we're at, where there's a lot of dissatisfaction going on. And I think this future third phase that we're not yet at is the bonus of this awareness that we have and this connectivity is hopefully we can learn what's actually been true all along, which is that we've been misunderstanding success. So go back to the Oprah, Michael Jordan example. You sort of from a distance look at that and say, well, those people are different because when they try things and when they do things, they crush it. Their life is success and their life does not involve the feelings that normal people like me have, which is when I try something, it never quite.
Yeah.
Right. But what the truth is that Oprah and Michael Jordan, who I don't know personally, I know for a fact, live inside of their own relative level of dissatisfaction.
Sure.
Right. And that's the full truth. And the longer we sort of tell our story or the story in our head that like, well, success is the absence of dissatisfaction. Like if you believe that's true, like, well, success would mean I wouldn't have this feeling in my gut that like, fuck, the thing I tried to make, the business I tried to start, or the podcast I tried to host, or the game I tried to play, doesn't feel dissatisfying at all. And then you go and try it and you realize, fuck, man, I fell a little short in this area. This isn't what I expected. If that is like an indicator to you that you're blowing it, then of course you'd be like, fuck, man, everyone else is killing it and I'm different. But the truth is none of us are operating at a level that is like, perfection.
Right. It's all relative.
It's all relative. And so if this is the third area that I'm talking about is like, because we're all connected now, maybe we can all start telling the truth, which is that, me, Eddie F., successful comedian that like you, young comedian, you're trying to become, guess what this feels like? Yeah. It includes that. It's just at another level.
Yeah. And I'm pretty honest as I don't know why I've always been, my comedy comes from honesty. And I think I'll tell you about the good times. I'll tell you about the bad times where I see a lot of people that succeed off of, the whole positivity. I'm only going to tell you about the good things because that's all I'm going to focus on and I'm going to think about. And so it's just going to keep happening. But to me, that's delusion. And I can't live in delusion. I just can't. I find some satisfaction in living in honesty. And so, and I'm hypercritical. I'll walk out of an audience, show and people will be like, you just killed. And I'll be like, what? You didn't hear that 15-minute lull in the middle of the show where that joke went wrong and then I had to really work to get them back? And people were like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I can't just go, yep, I crushed it. I have to, it's just what I do. So I'm never going to be that delusional guy. And I don't think anyone is. I mean, I think some people are, but I think they're faking it because they bought into that fake it till you make it, lie, show the whole Instagram, show my successful life and I'll only have a successful life.
That thing though that's the mechanism of how we get better though, right? Like, and this is, I'm still looking for the exception of the person who is excellent at their craft, who doesn't experience what you experience. Like what I'm saying is your awareness to the lull in the middle of the bit that you just described, because you have that awareness, you know how to get better. And so each iteration is like you improving.
Yeah. And I think there is something to the social media aspect of the progression of society. I know in like extreme sports, the guys used to see a magazine that would come out, the article would come out 6 months after it happened, where they'd see the guy doing the trick and they'd go, how did he do this trick? And then they would try to figure out, whereas now it's up on the internet that night.
Right. Yeah.
They then see it
Yeah.
They go out and practice it all day. Somebody gets it. They watch his video, and the progression begins.
Yeah.
I think it happens in exercise, CrossFit. People see, what time did he get? He broke.
Yeah.
He did 5:30 in Helen. 5:30? How did he do 5:30? Well, I'm going to have to work on pulling my kettlebells down faster. And so I'll work on this. And the progression is just getting us to where these guys are at another level, which is driving everyone insane.
Yeah, but the mechanism there in all those examples is it's a little bit of a paradox, because, and this is what, is the theme of, the Standard Summit and like all this other work, that we're doing, is it's disconfirming information. If you got off stage and every person that you saw just like said, Eddie, you fucking crushed, and you're like, yep, that's it, period, done. That confirming information kind of feels good, but there's nothing there for you to make any change with. There's no way to improve. But it's like when your brain tells yourself, oh man, this fell off. This wasn't what I anticipated. Or someone else gives you feedback. Hey dude, like this one thing, there's some timing issue here. That informs your next better self. Like if you believe that the fastest, grace time possible was 1:45, and that's just the truth, it would take a video showing you to your face that 1:29 is possible for you to be like, oh fuck, like what do we got in terms of this, this bar cycling thing or whatever. It's through the negative feedback that we improve,
Right. But when it comes to, like you were talking about the third phase, I think you're talking about finding the happiness. And I've had a lot of friends that are really successful in business or in comedy or whatever it is, that they're miserable human beings. And so to me, that's not successful. And we don't know if Oprah goes home and is a miserable person.
We don't, yeah.
And or even Michael Jordan. A lot of people are driven by addictions, which usually to me seems like there's a lot of unhappiness there. Yeah. And so if the addiction's there and they need the dopamine release, like I like to read a lot about dopamine and serotonin. I've never had to, I've experienced depression, like just in like I've been depressed, but I feel like that's grief or
acute kind of.
Yeah, it's not chronic. And enough to know I wouldn't want it. And I know it's terrible. And I understand that people have, I'm not sure about chemical imbalances. I don't know enough about it to make a statement on it. But I know this, that if somebody is unhappy, I feel badly for them, because I'd rather be a happy guy living on the street than Michael Jordan living in like complete agony.
Yeah.
So to me, the way we value success is maybe the biggest problem of all.
Yeah,
like
potentially.
We don't have a way to rank we have a way to rank somebody's social media profile, how many followers they have, but we don't have a way to rank their happiness scale.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what I meant in that third phase idea is that just if we included in our idea of what success was, the fact that like it isn't a slam dunk and that you try to do stuff and you kind of fall short. And if we included that part of it in the story, then we would be much more forgiving and we'd be much more grateful and happy with where we're at. Because if I know that's a part of whoever it is that I look up to, Michael Jordan, Oprah's story, whatever the case may be, then I wouldn't view my current feeling as like a failure. Right. I'd be like, oh, this is like, this is also what that would look like. Right.
Well, I think a lot of like motivational speakers and people like that talk about, Abraham Lincoln ran for office 13 times and only won once, or, George Clooney, didn't get any pilots until ER, or, and he'd been up for like 20 or whatever. And you hear about fail, and the people that succeed the most, it's easy to hear. But when you're in that phase, I have a tendency to look at myself as a complete failure all the time, constantly. And I just I don't look at all the guys I started with that aren't doing anything. I only look at the guys that I started with that are like Kevin Hart.
It's a winner circle bias. Yeah,
it's all I ever do. I only focus on them, and there's 10 of them.
There's totally,
and they're on top of the world, and I'm going, how did they all make it and I didn't? Okay, I have to stop for a second because I want to mention my new favorite clothing in the world, and that is Elite. It's not just clothing. They've got backpacks. They've got shoes. Shoes are kind of clothing. It's incredible stuff. Elite builds premium athletic apparel, and their emphasis is on innovative design at reasonable prices. You're not going to find them in stores, okay? They sell directly to the community, and looking at their stuff, you would look at it and go to yourself, oh, this is the kind of clothing I would make. It's like a bunch of CrossFitters got together and said, we need to make clothes that work well for our lifestyle. Oh my gosh, I think that's what happened. So you're going to notice, you're going to look at the shorts, you're going to go, oh, those are exactly how I'd make shorts if I made shorts. Well, they did it for you. They've got these things called the Plexos pant, which are, loungy kind of sweatpants that come in at the bottom, and I don't know what they're called, but they're like yoga pants for men, and they're great. They've got walk pants. When I say walk pants, you know what I'm talking about, the kind of pants you can walk in. No, they're pants that like look good to go to work in. They've also got polos that I don't wear polos because I don't go to work or have a real job, but a lot of you do. Most of you do. And these are shirts that are like flexible, comfortable, look great. They're built for someone that is that works out a lot. And the Flexion jacket is amazing. I wear it all. In fact, I'm going to Edmonton tomorrow, and it's one of those things. It's like I pack it because it fits to go to the gym. I can wear it to the show. I can wear it all day long, and it makes me not have to pack 6 different jackets. Same as their shoes. If you travel a lot, or you're one of these people that doesn't like having all kinds of lifting shoes, you know, your CrossFit shoe, your running shoe, your weightlifting shoe, they've got a cross training shoe that for $120 you're going to eliminate the need for 3 shoes. And they're good. They're really good. I don't like to compare them to anyone, but you'll see that they are comparable to the top other shoes on the market. But you take out the insole. That's all you do. And you change insoles. So they got a video. Go on their website. Check out the video. What you do, you just change your insole, and you can then go from – so you just keep it in your bag or keep it wherever and just take them out. Boom, boom, boom. You're ready to do whatever you need to do. Or just, hey, I'm just going to do back squats today. Well, put in those insoles. Or you're going for a run, change the insoles. You don't need to own 3 shoes. They got some cool hoodies. My favorite is the long sleeve crew. It looks awesome, and when it's cold, it's perfect. And it's like one of those like breathable, wicking, great shirt, and it's so much cheaper than like the bigger companies. So check them out. Trust me, you're going to love this stuff. They've got men's products. I didn't even talk about the women's because I'm not a woman, but I do love yoga tights, and they have the Nimbus tight collection, which I can't look at it on a website. That'd be creepy if I'm sitting on there going, look at these. But I know my wife wears them, and not as much right now that she's pregnant, but get yourself some of these tights, ladies, because we know it's become like your everyday wear is yoga tights, which I'm not complaining. I think it's great. But go get them at Hylete.com. And if you're going to go to Hylete.com, go to Hylete.com/WOD. That's Hylete, HYLETE.com/WOD. That's Hylete.com/WOD. And if you do that, you're going to get even 20% off. So it's going to go from cheap to cheaper. When I say cheap, I don't mean cheap because this stuff is quality. It's great. It's amazing. So I'm going to use the word inexpensive. Go get yourself some deals and thank me. I always tell people to thank me. No one ever does. But you will. You will. Inside, in your heart, you're going to be like, wow, I owe Eddie for this. I owe him. So go check them out and enjoy. Hylete.com/WOD. So I mentioned in this episode that I did Murph on on the beach in Bondi, which was maybe one of the biggest mistakes of my life. Not only did I do it, I did it before I got on an airplane to fly 15 hours. Maybe the biggest mistake of my life. And I came into my house, and sitting on the counter was my savior, Tiger Balm Active. If you've never used Tiger Balm, you're out of your mind. It's designed for physical athletic people just like you, just like me. You push yourself hard and you get some pain. Pain happens, but you don't need to suffer. I was suffering. I came in the house and I just pulled my pants off. No joke. And just started rubbing in some of the Tiger Balm Active. I used the muscle gel, and I rubbed it all over my legs and a little bit on my inside my elbows, where my bicep and my forearm. That was pretty bad from the pull-ups, but my legs are where I really needed it. And what's great about the muscle gel, it is a non-sticky gel, and it goes from it starts out really cool, and then it starts to get hot. And what's great, it pulls the blood up and allows blood to circulate in there. And we've talked about that a lot on the show, about how you need that to kind of work that out and move that stuff out. So if you've got DOMs or whatever it is, they've got a thing called Muscle Rub that also it gets your muscles ready to go. So if you need to warm up, they've got a rub, again, non-greasy, and it's a pre-workout warming cream. Put that on and use that right before you work out, and it's going to get your muscles a little bit ready, and you're going to be a lot looser and ready to go. And then they've got a new product, Tiger Balm Active Muscle Spray, and it's just a spray, like a spray bottle. And if you've got places like lower backs, one of them, it's a hard to reach area. So you spray that there, and then you're ready to go too for that. But don't spray it. When I say hard to reach, there's some hard to reach areas. If you know what I'm talking about, don't do it there, because you're not going to want to have some Tiger Balm down there. That's going to hurt you, if you know what I mean. So it really made a difference with me. I couldn't have been happier after I used it. And check them out. They have them. When I tell you where to get it, all you have to do is go to CVS or Rite Aid. You don't have to order anywhere. It's at your drugstore. Everybody's got a drugstore. Everybody's got a CVS. Everybody's got a Rite Aid. Check it out. Tiger Balm Active. We all know the pain happens, but suffering's optional. So start using Tiger Balm Active like I do. Pick it up today. Your local CVS or Rite Aid store.
There's a section of the book that is talking about this exact thing, which is which version of the story are you telling yourself?
Yeah.
And the reason why the George Clooney example, or the Michael Jordan example, or whatever example we love to tell to display this failure thing, the reason why it's easy to hear, and the reason why it doesn't really land, is because you can't unknow who George Clooney is.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't sting as hard.
Yeah.
But because that's not how we experience time. We experience time chronologically. So your path, all your failures feel that like they hurt a little more, right? Because you're going through it. You don't have the benefit of knowing how the story ends.
True.
If we were walking through those failures in the shoes of George Clooney, he doesn't get the benefit of knowing what the future looks like.
Right.
Right? It feels like actual failure with actual uncertainty before it. So when you tell me that fucking Michael Jordan got cut from the high school basketball team, I'm like, cool story, bro. Like, he's Jumpman. I already know that. I can't unknow that.
Yeah.
But if I could unknow that, like, Men in Black style, erase my memory, and then I go back and go through it day by day the way he did, it feels a lot more like my life feels.
Yeah.
Which is full of way more dissatisfaction than Michael Jordan could ever experience, right?
Yeah.
And so we have this cognitive bias as humans where, because of how we experience time in order, we tend to downplay other people's failures. Because by the time you see Kevin Hart do Kevin Hart's thing, you can't really do his past failures justice, right? Because it has a sweet cherry on top at the end.
Yeah.
Right? But when you're inside of your life, when you don't know how the 10 years from now ends, it feels really uncertain and scary, and you really emphasize the failure part.
Right.
You know how many gigs you don't get, or whatever the differences in your expectations are on a minute by minute basis. I don't know what it was like to be unfamous Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's a very biased thing.
Well, so many people say, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And it's all, I was reading a study that a guy said that, the happiness we feel is in the attempt at achievement. It's never in the achievement, which is the same as the cliche, and, that as soon as the feeling of like succeeding and winning is so ephemeral that it's all about the creation to this success. And so I really, really am trying to immerse myself in the creation now, instead of the achievement at the end. And it only, like, I think it hit me when Brody died that, that your time here is limited. And what happens, what kind of legacy do you leave? And what was important? To me, the most important thing is my family. And what do I do? What do I leave my child? And I got a kid on the way too. I got my Lauren's pregnant again.
Congrats.
But what am I going to leave them? What am I going to equip them with? What am I going to like? That's most important. Then it's like, what did I do for, friends? What did I do for the community? What did I do? All these other things. How many, did I ran a marathon. I did, I won this. I did this. I accomplished this. I donated money to this. What are all these things? And, it's like there's a scorecard at the end almost. When you see someone else's scorecard and they did really well, you go, oh, fuck. What have I done? Yeah. And then it's like, I better start putting scores on the board.
Yeah.
And that gets a little, you feel like time's wearing out. How much time do I have left to do these things? And how am I going to accomplish these things when I haven't set the foundation for these things? I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So death can do that to you.
And you see, well, what's interesting about when you were saying that, and I understand, I'm not in any different headspace mentally. I think we all feel that. The mind is in a little bit of, the mind is sort of like lacking peace when it goes down that rabbit hole, right? But think about where your mind is going. It's into the future.
Yeah.
Or like you said, success is the moment it happens, it's gone. That's because it's sort of in the past. And I don't think it's a coincidence that we keep coming back to this process thing. Because in reality, whether we talk about it on this podcast or not, I think subconsciously we know that the only thing I can do, the only thing that I can like fucking change and affect is like right now.
Yeah.
Like this moment.
Right.
We're getting cliche with that, but is there any coincidence that, that the future is where anxiety lives and dwelling in the past is like seemingly kind of fruitful? All these accomplishments that are in the past, It's like, can't really tap into that right now. It's because this moment's the only time I can do something. And so the process is less about this like magical P word or whatever. It's just the only place that you can act. And our brain can't possibly experience happiness if we don't feel like we have control. If you feel as if you're a victim, like your situation, your plight is decided for you, that's what depression is,
Well, I also think that that social media has a bit of a where it can get to myself, I know, is that I have all these different interests, from skiing to surfing to CrossFit to whatever it may be. And I look at them and it's either I'm not doing that or I'm not doing that as well as them. Mm-hmm. And I say that we usually use social media when we're bored, and you use it. It used to be people sat and watched television. Right. Now people sit and scroll Instagram or Facebook or something, and you're going to things you like,
right?
And you're not doing them.
Yeah,
somebody else is doing it in the video, and somebody else is doing it usually a lot better than you do it.
Yeah,
and that's where. You're not going on social media and watching people do what you do and do it shitty.
Right. And while you're doing it, you're too busy to be on there. So it's like a double down thing.
Yeah. I've always said, whenever I've been happiest in my life, the last thing I'm doing is taking pictures or videos.
Right.
Although that is changing because we're living in this world of like, I have to document this.
Right.
I have to show somebody what just happened instead of, oh my God, I'm just having the best time. And I don't know what it is, that if it wasn't on Instagram, it didn't happen. Right. That's kind of been ingrained in me. And I see it as younger generations. For as old as I am, it's weird that I have it, but it's just because I've been in the business for so long. But young people, it's all they know.
Yeah.
And it's normal and natural for them. And I see my daughter being raised on it. She at first, her natural inclination was, don't film me. Don't ever film me.
Right.
And now it's like, Dad, get your camera. And then she'll go, let me see it.
That's insane.
Yeah. And it's all they know. And it's such a part of society that the part of me that was like, hey, I hope this ends.
Yeah.
Like, it's an animal we can't stop.
A friend of mine's daughter was, I think at like NYU doing a dissertation, and the topic of her dissertation was the fact that seeing an event or an experience through a camera or your phone or whatever it is, sort of chemically removes you from that moment to the point where you're not even actually experiencing the thing. You're experiencing like a digital version of it, to the point where it's like even the dinners and the moments and the birthdays or whatever that you're experiencing as like the filmer of a thing makes it to where you weren't ever actually there. Kind of, you know what I'm saying? So that's like,
it's kind of creepy.
That's heavy duty, right?
Yeah.
It's like, not only am I, cause in your head, you're like, I'm going to document this so I can like remember it. It's like, yeah, you also never were there for it. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, like that's pretty.
That is weird. And I do like the aspect of documenting everything to go back and look at it, because there's only so much we can hold in our memory. And so often people come up to me, I used to party a lot too. But people come up to me and be like, you remember that night we ran naked down it's funny, the guy I'm going to meet after this, I ran naked down the Montauk Highway one night, and he's telling me the story, and I'm like, no. I didn't.
Yeah.
I never ran, and then he started talking more and more and more, and I went, oh, I did do that. But it completely was out of my memory. But if that was stored in my phone, I would cruise through it maybe once every 6 months or something. He'd be like, oh, I remember that night. And then it's almost like all of your memories, that kind of talking about the past is not part of our consciousness any longer. It's like gone. It's sort of still there.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I was thinking that about my buddy Brody when he died. All of this footage of him emerged from, I went through all the stuff I had of Brody. I did multiple podcasts with him, I was in a movie with him. There were all kinds of things that I was able to then put up on the internet for people to see. And other people's stuff was coming up. And I was like, geez, it's going to take me a lifetime to watch all this stuff. That his whole life was, it's like he didn't die.
Totally.
And I kind of, at that point, was grateful that all of this existed, because it was like, we had lost him in the realm that we're in right here, but he's going to live on forever in that world. And there will be no more new creations, but all the creations that he made are still here. And that hit me that I better get to fucking work.
Yeah.
Like, I am not happy with the creations that I've made
Right.
and need to create better, newer things, which goes all the way back to, that's what we should be doing, is creating. I just read that book. Rogan always recommends it. The War on Art. Did you read it?
Yeah, I have it here.
Yeah, it's a good book.
The War of Art? War on Art?
War on Art.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you something. Why are all your books color coordinated?
Dude, I don't know. I thought it was a good look, except for, I couldn't get them all like perfectly dialed in, But you kind of get it. At least you noticed it. So there's like something going on.
Somebody wrote one time on my page or something, there was a picture of us with like my library of books behind me.
Yeah.
And I don't have many, but I like to read. Somebody goes, "That's so pretentious of you, blah, 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 to have," and he said, books are supposed to be read and then given on to other people. And I was like, fuck off.
Cool.
I love going back to old books and looking through stuff and finding stuff. Like, oh, I remember this, or a lot of times I'll read a book and I hardly remember even reading it.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's so many little things I pull out of it and then I go back to, or I'll tell somebody about it and they'll go, no. And I'm like, hold on. And then I show them and they go, oh, wow.
I love when people say, like, anytime you start a sentence with like, well, books weren't designed for that. Like, okay, well, tell me what books were designed for. They were designed to be given away 7 days after you read it. Is that what they were designed for?
No, I do like passing books on to people.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a great thing. I've had some great books passed on to me. One of the best books ever that a guy forced me practically to read. I was in a dark moment in my life, and I was in England, and two things I'll never forget. His name was Matt Welcome.
That's awesome.
And he did like all pun jokes. He was a really funny guy. But he told me to read a book, which a lot of people have read. It's a very popular book, The Four Agreements. And I always tell comedians that they go, what's a good book to learn how to write comedy? And I go, The Four Agreements. And they're like, that's not about comedy. I go, apply it to comedy.
Yeah.
And it's the best book there is.
That's really cool.
And then he said to me, he said, I want you to read this book. And I go, nah, I've read all that shit. I've read every self-help book there is. Doesn't fucking work. And he said, do you practice? And I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, if I give you a book on how to play basketball, would you, after reading it, would you be able to go play basketball well? And I go, no, of course not. He goes, but if you practice and applied all those things you read, would you be a better basketball player? And I go, yeah. He goes, so read the book.
That's awesome.
And practice it every day.
That's
awesome. He goes, take all the little things in the book that it gives you and practice them just for like a month and see how your life changes in a month from practicing the things that and I was like, holy shit. And I took that book to heart. It's one of those books that I keep saying, I did read it twice, but I was like, I'm going to read it again.
I'm going
to go back and I'm going to practice again and apply it to my life. And I've heard that about super achievers, though, that they are constantly reading books on like achievement and again and again and again. Ryan Flaherty said it on our podcast that the best in the world, these super achievers that he's worked with, are constantly looking for ways to get better. For sure. Like to the point of obsession.
I mean, it's most literally that is the thing that guides adaptation and achievement. You have to be curious about, how you can improve. There's nothing about like that would assume so many things, including that there's like a finish line for a really successful person to be like, yeah, for sure I don't read. Like I'm good.
Yeah.
Like what? What the fuck are you talking? You know what I mean? Like
I think that's my brother. I swear to God, my brother never listens to my shit, so I'll say it here. I don't think my brother's read a book since college.
I'm good. Yeah,
I think I'm not saying he doesn't read.
Yeah.
He goes on the internet. He's in finance. He probably reads every financial story there is. But I don't think my brother has sat down and read a book in the last 20 years. Not one fucking book. If I went to his house, there's probably not a book in his house. And I wonder what goes on in his brain.
I get fired up on this because, I think folks look like we don't have a, an over-reading problem in this country.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think people want to make, folks who read, like, maybe I'm one of them or whatever, into like, an extreme example, like, well, that's just your preference. You know what I mean? I'm like, this has nothing to do with preferences, man. Like, I wish that the outcomes afforded by reading were like, found in, I don't know, ice cream eating or like sitting, doing anything else, you know, but like inside of this process, fortunately or unfortunately, are some unique results, and so I think folks who are like, well, it's just not my style, it's like, yeah, dude, like, fucking me either, man.
But I wonder that about people. There are times when I'm watching the news too much and reading too many news stories and worrying about everything, and every single thing that I eat going in my body, I've read something about the good in it, the bad in it, new studies on it, and I'm going, why do I have this craving for so much? I look at people that just don't give a fuck. And my friend used to have a saying. He said, the mind is a terrible thing to have. and it would be nice to be one of those people in Target in a fucking Razor scooter, just riding around,
uninterested in anything else.
And just being delusional and just feeling like, the government's going to take care of me. Somebody's going to empty my feeding bag. There's a pill for everything. I'm just going to go get some box sets of some of these movies and just sit down and eat a tub of ice cream and watch every episode of Game of Thrones in 4 days.
Yeah, I know a couple things to be true. One is Domino's pizza is good pizza, but Papa John's is great pizza.
Really?
You know what I mean? No, I'm just like, that's like the level. That's like the level of like what's up for grabs this week. You know? Like,
when you say that too, like that they don't ever move past that. That they don't say,
these are truths, man.
It's weird. It's weird that you wouldn't keep progressing. That you wouldn't say, there's a better pizza than Papa John's.
Yeah. Well, so in the same vein, let me ask you a question about comedy, because maybe behind what we're talking about with this sort of attitude that is trying to diminish curiosity, diminish seeking out information, is like fear. Right? There's like maybe a fear and like being responsible for more. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at like, Friday night, or Monday Night Football. And like, I'm not going to ask too many questions about my life. Do you think that comedy is our best chance to talk about what really matters? Like, do you think it, like, I sort of look at comedy as a way that we can say the shit that we wouldn't otherwise say. Do you think that's a tool?
Not to discredit what you've said, but that has been said so much in the past that everybody kind of made it a rule.
Okay.
Where I'm in the recent ongoings with what's happening with society right now, I'm going a step further. That yes, it was for a while. It was the place where a guy said to me once, comedy clubs always do well in the basement because it's like this dark little place where you can go say things you're not supposed to say. And you can examine. A guy just won an award at this comedy festival I was at in Australia, where he did a show that he said, you give me something to defend and I'll defend it. Like, that was his comedy show. He would get on stage in a funny way. Like, you'd say pedophilia.
Yeah.
And he would have to defend. And the joke was that this guy was taking horrific things that he obviously does not believe in.
Yeah.
And he defends them on stage. And so that's where the comedy was, that he's playing a character that he is not at all. But we're examining these dark things that we would never go to in a normal conversation.
Yeah, it's like a passport to the thing. That's what I mean. Like you can't go there, but comedy allows it.
But in society recently, I am going to blame the left. There's a radical sect of the left that is trying to censor that and stop that. And they're trying to stop that, and they will argue that they're not. They will say that what they're doing is that there is no reason to punch down, that you always punch up, and they're creating rules and parameters, and that's not what art is. I just went to a museum in Hobart, Tasmania, called Mona, and this guy, he was just a fucking multimillionaire, made all his money gambling and wanted to give the money back, so he created this crazy museum. And he's really into sex and death and shit. And a lot of people were like, that's not art. And it's like, who are you to say what art is?
For sure.
And it's all the art that he loves, and he has purchased it, and then he shares it with everyone. People can come to see it. And I thought it was one of the most amazing places I've ever been in my whole life. Like, it's worth flying to Tasmania to go see. It's cool. Incredible. It's mind blowing. It's called Mona. And, but this guy's examining things. He has a room. One of the art pieces is a machine that makes shit. It has all the enzymes and everything, and it goes through all these different chambers and processes, and they put food in. It's like a robot, and it eats the food, and at the end it puts out shit. And it stinks. And but like, so a lot of people would sit around and go, why would you do something like that? And it's like, why wouldn't you? Like, why not examine all these realms of possibility? And so comedy has been that, but like anything else, there's good and bad. And there's really bad comedy that says, and sometimes I think I'm guilty of it. And there's aspects of my act that I'm guilty of being one of those comedians that goes, it's free speech.
Like using it for that.
Hey, give me. And then there are times when I look at it and I go, that was just a cheap fucking joke that I did that sucks.
There was a great thing, and this might be a common documentary that I'm just forgetting the name of, but I saw it. It was sort of talking about what I just asked you, and it was sort of like comedy as a tool to talk about the things that are important and edgy for us, and one of the examples was politics, and there's a dynamic with satire where, and I think they're using SNL a bunch, so it's like you get like a Dana Carvey on there doing George Bush, and it's like wouldn't be prudent, and he's like doing the thing, and it's like, because it's satire, you have this unique thing where the audience, Republicans and Democrats, can choose what it is about that they'd like to laugh at, and so the other one was like Tina Fey. She did what's her name? Ran for vice president. From Alaska.
Oh, Sarah Palin.
Yeah, she's doing the Sarah Palin thing. And it's very timely, right? Like, we're in this place where we might elect this person who, is saying these things, and she's doing these jokes, and it allowed for a conversation. They talked about the dynamic of, SNL can have viewers from both sides of the aisle laugh at the thing, choose to not be offended or hear the part of it that doesn't serve them. But the bummer, full circle, is that maybe comedy can be this passport to talk about this stuff, but then what happens? And the sort of documentary's view of it was like, well, nothing really happened, like, we were able to talk and laugh at this Sarah Palin thing, and then they even show Tina Fey and Sarah Palin sort of meeting and interacting with each other, and it's sort of like Tina Fey kind of wanted to say to the world that, like, this is insane that this person is going to get the second highest office in the country, but now it's still just a joke.
Well, the origins of satire, and as I have heard, I've done a little bit of research on it, go back to the Greeks and the Romans, and what it was is there was always the court jester, and the court jester would make fun of the king and make jokes for the king. And if it wasn't funny, the king would have him killed.
Right.
And there was also the people that were satirizing the rulers and the leaders did it to embarrass them. And the satirists did it to, because you didn't have any power. You didn't have weapons. You didn't have strength. You didn't have money to do it. So the only thing you had, the power you had, was embarrassment. And they used to try to embarrass the leaders so much that they would kill themselves. That was their goal.
Wow.
Was, let's try to embarrass this person so badly. And I think we do that as a society. I mean, people have been trying to embarrass Trump for the last 4 years and just trying to, or 3, 4, whatever, shame him into quitting, doing whatever it is, destroying him. And you're not going to, because the guy doesn't have, he's pathological. And so you can't do that to someone like that. But someone that's normal, you can. Someone that has, and I think that's kind of was what happened with Sarah Palin was, if we can make fun of her enough, if we can make people aware, I've always said it's the comedy's a spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. Here is a way to laugh at something that's painful. And it can happen either way. It can happen with, I'm not trying to be partisan here, the left or right. And that's kind of what's happened, where we don't both see it.
Right.
Where I believe it's completely one-sided.
Right.
I will go on stage and I will make fun of both sides.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more down the middle. In fact, I'm not in the middle. I'm completely removed from it at this point. I couldn't be more removed, where I now see it as I'm the guy that knows that wrestling's fake, and I just choose not to even turn it on. I've always thought that, then I felt like I needed to get involved. Now I'm back out. I'm back out there going, you're all fucking crazy. They're all playing you. Vince McMahon's behind this whole thing, and it's all scripted. And I'm not saying it's all scripted. I'm just saying none of them are doing what they say they're doing. Yeah. And so the comedy now to me is, I'm going to make fun of it all. I'm not going to take a side. But the weird thing is, no one's with me.
Right.
Everybody's on a side. And so they're both mad at me.
It's much easier to be on a side.
Much. If you pick a lane and go with it, you can go right to the top, because they will rally. It's a team. It's a team sport right now. Yeah. And I'm not on the team.
Yeah.
And if you're not on a team, you're fucking out in the cold. Yeah. And I'm just hoping that more and more people come out in the cold with me and realize that everybody playing the sport is a fucking idiot, because it is. To me, it's beyond.
Do you feel like comedy is something that you turn on and off, or is comedy in your life all the time?
Fuck yeah.
Like there's a time and a place, and I go do the thing, and then I don't think in that way, or do you look for the humor and everything? Or
when I was younger, I was just a troublemaker, and I liked to go to school and disrupt class, and I found it funny. And as I went to high school and I couldn't succeed at anything, I was the funny guy, because that was all I could do. Yeah. Disruption was, I was the only one willing to go there, because everybody else was trying to achieve, either in sports or school. And I was like, well, if no one else is going to take this road, this is my road.
Yeah.
And I was successful at it. Then I actually had some athletic success, and I was like, well, this feels kind of good.
Yeah.
And I went off to college and I started to figure out school, and I was like, oh, this is okay. And then I got out of college and I felt like everyone lied to me. And I was like, this is all one big lie. Everybody wanted me to go down this path, and here I am in a suit driving down a road that I'm going to drive every day to this office where I'm going to look out the window and not live my life. And this goes, sort of to your book.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't fucking do it. I was like, this is not for me. And so my weekends were spent becoming that guy again.
Yeah.
And all I was trying to do was make everybody laugh. And there's nothing I love more than sitting around with a group of people and just laughing my balls off.
For sure.
Like with tears in my eyes.
For sure.
And podcasting has brought me that a lot. I've had a lot of podcasts, more the Bingle Show than the Wadcast or talking shit, but where we are just laughing so hard it hurts.
Totally.
And I like doing that for people. I know I like that feeling. So if I can do that for people, that's what I like. But when I'm home,
yeah,
it's off. I still try to make my daughter laugh, my wife laugh, but it's just like any other person.
Yeah.
It's not at another level. I mean, my wife makes me laugh as much as I make her laugh.
Yeah.
And I've always felt that the guys I know, and I'm not going to name their names, some of them are dead, we're always on, and turns out we're the least happy people.
Yeah.
And so there was this need.
Compensation.
There's one right now who's really super successful, who I couldn't talk to him because he was always on. And now he's like, he'd be sitting having this conversation with us, and you'd be like, holy shit. Yeah. He actually lives in your neighborhood. Oh, but I think he had kind of the revelation I did of this insecurity to I think I also had figured out though that if you go on television, you make in one night, you make more people laugh than like
a whole tour of shows, kind of, right?
Way more than a tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, like to such an astronomical degree that just work towards that.
Yeah.
And stop being the guy at the supermarket making the checkout lady laugh.
Right.
However, there are times when I walk in to the bank or wherever and I look at that person, and if they look miserable, I'll go to myself, I'm going to make them laugh.
Bail them out.
Yeah. I'll go.
It's a cool tool.
I'm going to do this little thing, and I watch me make their day.
Yeah.
And not watch me, but to me, I'm going, it's my little gift that I have. It's all I have. I have no other skills, really. Yeah. But I'll give them a little bit of joy to their day.
That's cool.
And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun knowing that I have that ability.
Yeah.
And so I'll do it, and then I'll leave. The worst is when you bomb, though. You know, with someone like that.
Yeah.
Like, they're fucking cranky.
Yeah.
And I just made their day worse. Which does happen.
But comedy's a vulnerable thing, you know? It's like, that's the risk, you know, so to speak, is putting yourself out there. But you mentioned the previous life that you felt lied to about. You know, it's like, and this is this sort of the premise of the book, is we would have to do a lot of lying to ourselves to justify that other life that you got a taste of.
Yeah.
You would have to do a lot of locking arms and convincing ourselves, like, this is okay, right? Like we just put it on the suit and then we just do the thing. And, I think an easy way to misunderstand the book is that it's this like this manuscript that is just hating on the 9-to-5 thing. It's much less of that because just like we talked about with, a Goggins or whatever, is only you will know if you are in an environment or a lifestyle or in a relationship or whatever that is, serving a better you. And, the Cliff's Notes is you, Eddie Ift, can work harder, better, longer, and provide more for yourself and more for your community doing this than you could just about anything else. And it behooves you, and it behooves me, who I don't live under your roof, that you spend more time doing that.
Sure.
For reasons that also feel good. But what I'm saying is mathematically add up to just greater utility than the other thing.
Sure.
You can't possibly pretend hard enough, long enough, deep enough doing the other thing that you can quite easily doing this.
Sure. I just talked to a friend of mine who's an attorney about that. We were talking about automation and the whole, what's his name?
Bezos or?
No, the guy that wants to give everybody a universal income or whatever it is, basic income. The Asian guy.
I was going to presidential candidate.
Yeah, he is a presidential candidate. Asian guy.
I don't know.
I forget his name. I'm like the gay guy, the Asian guy, the black woman. There's like every single kind of. We can look at the old guy, the old Jewish guy. I
was going to Bernie.
Yeah. Well, so universal basic income, because we're going so fully automated that so many jobs aren't going to exist. And people are like, but people need and it was like, well, do people need, I mean, we we invented the cotton gin. It helped do away with slavery. I'd love to see other things that do away with slavery in, like, you look at little kids in factories in Indonesia making Nikes. I'd love that there were robots that did the whole thing. Well, then what do those kids do to make a living? Well, this is where I don't fully understand it, because where is the money going to come from? Because we're going to consume. We're going to need the money to consume. Well, the government's going to give you the money to consume it. It's so obscure to me that, like, to understand it all. But what I was saying to my friend is, great if we can eliminate all these tedious things, that we can go out and all do creative things that not creative, but things that you enjoy doing, that you will have purpose doing, that will, this probably goes to your book. There's nothing I hate more than hearing somebody say, I fucking hate my job. I used to have friends in New York. We would go out on Sunday night, or we'd party Friday, Saturday. They were all Wall Streeters, and I was doing comedy, and we'd just party so hard all weekend. And Sunday, all they would do was talk about their depression, that they had to go back to work on Monday. And I would go, well, why are you fucking doing it?
Cool story. Stop.
Yeah. Why? And they were like, well, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to make partner. And by the time I'm 40, I'm going to get this. And they all are really successful now. They are very, very successful guys. But I wonder if in the process they lost a lot of years of happiness, and where did it get them? A lot of them lost their health in the process. But as far as, like, what was it worth it? My one friend, I said to him once, I go, well, if you could do anything you wanted, what would you do? And he goes, well, I love car racing. I'd work in car racing. And I go, well, why don't you go work in it? And he goes, I don't know how. I go, well, you just look up all the car racing companies and you go intern, and then you struggle, but you're where you love to be every day. And then you eventually, because you're a successful person, you'll move up in that. And someday you might own your own car racing company or be a car. And to him, it was like I was speaking Chinese. He couldn't understand. And I look at what doctors do and what I do as this, not the outcome the same. I'm not comparing myself to a doctor, but people go, doctors go to work for, they go to school for 8 years, and then they bust their ass, and then they go into residency, and then they become a doctor, and they reap the benefits, but then they also have all these school loans that they have to pay. I go, well, I was on the open mic circuit for years and years and years.
Sounds like everything else that it takes to get good at.
Yeah. And where I was taking Greyhound buses to Kentucky and writing jokes the whole way, and staying up late at night and watching TV so I could write jokes about that. And sure, my life's pretty awesome now, but so is the doctor's, cause he worked hard at what he wanted to do and what he loved. And I worked hard at what I want. So I chose a path less traveled. Yep. But it was something I loved.
And I mean, talk about like speaking Chinese. Imagine a mind that justifies being the worst at the thing you care the most about, which is what they just said. I really am passionate about car racing. Don't know a thing about it because I'm too scared to go there. But like, so the thing you care about the most, you've spent the least amount of time in.
Yeah.
Sweet life. Yeah. What is that about? Right. And it's like, this is where I was talking with someone the other day, because these are the conversations that come up, and they're awesome when the idea of the book comes around, which is like, because you hear these people talk about like, don't follow your passion. Like, it's not about passion. It's about like value and all that. And I go, yeah, I understand that argument, that sort of Gary Vee-ish rant thing, is about the people who are like your buddy are going around saying like, I really care most about this automotive thing, and that's my passion. But I've also spent 15 years doing everything other than that. Yeah, don't follow your passion because you're fucking you cannot provide any value to yourself or anyone else in that thing. What we need to do is like align with the areas and the pursuits and the things that you can dump the best, most rewarding work into. And now you create this thing where you're undefeated. You can create value forever. Like, the book talks about, a million examples of this way, but like there's a guy in there who makes coffee so fucking good that he'll have a job for the rest of his life.
Is it friendly?
Yeah, nicely. Yeah.
Nicely. I called him friendly the other day on somebody's thing. He does make coffee so fucking good.
He's a world champion in a thing that like maybe that's weird and maybe like that's not a thing that you or I care about, but like he is world class at that thing.
Makes the best fucking cup of coffee I've ever had.
And that's an easy job. I use his example amongst others because that's an easy job to look down upon. No family reunion is going to be like, son number one's like, I want to be a surgeon. You're like, great choice, and the other one's like, I want to make coffee. They're gonna be like, hey bro, like maybe let's think about this. But at the top, any peak performer goes through the same sort of rites of passage and skill development. Like what does it take to be the best in the world at making a latte? Well, it takes incredible commitment that like transcends any surface level understanding of commitment. It takes an unbelievable accumulation of deep work, right? These things starting to sound familiar to like your life, right? And then the third thing is this resilience to adversity. So regardless of like the no's that you get or the times you fall on your face, like you're actually more fit to weather these sort of adversities. There's also this flow thing, peak human performance, which always is rewarded both emotionally and financially and otherwise. Flow, right? Are we talking about coffee or are we talking about your path through comedy? I think they're the same.
Yeah.
Right? Or are we talking about my path through baseball, right? So it's like you go through this thing and you come out on the other side with just asymmetrical value. I mean, aside from the joy and the emotional parts, you have a person who is understands commitment at the highest level, who has this large body of deep work, understands how to work in a focused, dedicated effort, extremely resilient to the adversity that's coming his way, and then peak performance. So if today, Nicely, who owns several coffee shops and is a savage in his own right, if he wanted to switch jobs or if coffee became illegal in the US, what kind of guy do you hire for the next job? The guy who ran from everything that was difficult and is completely unremarkable in all categories of his life, or someone who maybe it has nothing to do with this job, but someone who walked through mastery in the way that guy did. I'd rather date people like that. I'd rather work with people like that. I'd rather start a company with people like that. I'd rather be friends with people like that.
Sure. And I think that's, you and I are similar in that. I choose friends. My wife always says, you collect people. And I go, of course I do. I said, I'm enamored of people that are critical of everything, that have specialized, that have become a master at something, that have achieved things. I love that. I want to be around those people. I find I can learn from them. I'm interested in what they've done. I'm baffled by their achievement. There's nothing better than that, and being around that, and it makes me a better person. So that's everything you're saying. I remember when I was in college, well, even before college, I tried to go off to Boulder. I wanted to go to Boulder and go to University of Colorado, and I was going to run track. Track was the only way I was getting into college. And my grades were so horrendous that the only way they were going to let me in, I was what was called Prop 48, which was you had to have either an 800 on your SATs. You had to have an 800 and a 2.0 grade point average, which is a C average. To compete in Division I athletic. You probably had it. Well, I only had the 800. My SATs were really good, but my grade point average was really I think I had like a 1.3 or something.
Damn, yeah.
I mean, I had one of the lowest grade point averages ever. I didn't graduate high school. I had to go to summer school after high school to finish classes. Yeah. I didn't know that you could not finish high school. Right.
I didn't know it was an option.
Like everyone got a diploma and mine was blank.
Oh no.
And I asked the principal afterwards, he's like, you're not done.
Oh shit.
So when I colleges had recruited me though, and a lot of them said they knew because of my my SATs that I could do the work, that I was just, something was wrong.
Yeah.
So they all kept saying, we'll still recruit you. We'll bring you in. You're going to have to sit out the first season, blah, blah, blah. Then we'll have you. Well, I wanted to go off to ski because I knew I didn't have a future. So I was like, I'll go and I'll ski and I'll do track. And my dad's like, you're not going to do that. Yeah. What are you doing? He's like, you're going to go to Colorado. You're going to become a ski bum. We're never going to see you again. And you're just going to be a waste of life. And I was like, no. They've got a great track program. And, meanwhile, I was thinking about like how I was going to get up after classes and go. And in retrospect, look, I'm happy the route I went. However, I don't like that my dad's done a lot of great things in my life, but that stifled me a bit in that if I had gone there and if I had worked at a ski resort, I wouldn't be a barback right now that gets up every morning and skis. I'd own my own ski company, or I would have gone on to be a filmmaker or something, or maybe something completely out of skiing, but I wouldn't need to go that route. Who I am as a person was always innate and was, within me. What I was going to achieve was already almost predetermined, and that my ambition and drive, whatever, that was always with me. Yeah. And to whatever thing that I loved, I would have. I mean, I just hung out with a buddy of mine in Tahoe who all he wanted to do was ski. That was his purpose. He used to run track with me. And I was like, I hadn't seen him in 20 years, and we went skiing together, and he's the most amazing skier. Like he chucks backflips, gamers off. But he sharpens skis at night. And that's all he's been doing. And that's what my dad thought I would do. And that bothered my father. Yeah. That wouldn't have been me. Yeah. And I would have taken whatever drive I have now and put it towards that and done exciting, interesting things, and would have found a way to be successful. And, I probably come from a family where monetary success is very, very important. It's probably my downfall now because that's how I calibrate myself a lot of times. Right. How much money am I making? When I should just fucking throw that to the wayside and go, nothing matters other than that I'm providing for my family. I'm doing what I love. I'm making people happy. And this has become like a therapy show, Logan. How'd you fucking do this? Right. How'd you do this to me? This is the weirdest wadcast we've ever done.
I incepted you.
Anyway, yeah, you did it. I've never gone this. Look, he just winked at me like, I fucking got you, Eddie. I got you.
Not one dick joke was said.
Speaking of dicks, my wife did say to me yesterday, we're having a boy, and she just looks at me and she goes, it's really weird. She goes, you have a penis and now I have a penis. I was like, we're not having sex till that thing comes out. That's just
Go ahead
too
and just
weird.
Retract that joke.
Yeah, that was so gross.
That's awesome.
You were telling me about Bondi. When did you go to Bondi in Australia? Bondi Beach.
That must have been February.
Oh, you were just there?
Yeah.
It's a great place, huh?
Yo, yeah.
How about the coffee there?
Dude, yeah. I mean, any city I'm in the world is like, I Google like two things: hipster coffee or most expensive coffee, you know what I mean, or whatever. And I'm just looking for it.
I quit coffee.
Orient myself that way.
I quit coffee, and it was killing me there because I probably quit within the last 2 years, and I hadn't been back to Australia for 2 years because of some shit that had happened. But my wife would order a coffee every day, and I was like, oh, fuck, should I go back? Yeah. Should I go back? I know it's like alcohol. Once I go back, I'm in. I can't.
Full tilt. Yeah. Bondi, I'm not an expert of Sydney, but I go quite often, teaching and whatnot. And I just oriented myself in Bondi and the vibe. Yeah. We started to talk about it,
it's very Venice
as you walked in. Yeah. Like my first experience there, I got in at like 4, or I got in at like midnight and then was jet lagged and then woke up at like 4 a.m. and it's still dark out and there's no possible way I could go back to sleep. So I just kind of walked straight out to the beach where the little pull-up bars are and whatnot. And it's like the way
they have a little workout area, a calisthenic area. It's like
Muscle Beach. Yeah.
It's like Muscle Beach, but no weights at all.
Yeah. And
you know that's so famous and so popular, that little.
Yeah, it's like a scene for sure.
And it's shit.
Yeah, there's nothing there except for a couple dip bars, and that's it. And I was amazed because the way I describe it is, as soon as the sun came up, so 5:30 or maybe 6 in the morning, it felt like the entire town, and this is a Tuesday morning, the entire town just like set an alarm for like 10 minutes prior, and then as soon as the sun came up, it was like, go. And there was like hiking happening. There's like this outrigger canoe thing. These people are out on like surfboards. There's a 7-on-7 match of rugby with like 65-year-olds. All these bar muscle ups are happening. I'm like, is this a flash dance of fitness? Like, holy shit. And it was full on, dude.
It's so funny you say that, because I was joking about that. That's not everywhere in Australia, but that is Bondi is like to a T. And it is amazing because there's so many different cultures going on, and so many, the walk along the rocks. I just did that run the other day. I did Murph the other day. I was just like, my wife was at the playground with my kid, and I went, I'm going to go do a little workout. And I went over and I was like, what can I do with what I have here? And I went, it'll be nice. I'll run a mile along the beach, come back and do Murph. And then I was like halfway into Murph going, what the fuck am I doing? Totally. Because Murph used to be easy for me. And now that I do it with full range of motion, it's horrendous.
I was going to say, it's never been easy.
When I used to do those push-ups where you go down like an inch and then
all the Guinness Book of World Record push-ups.
Oh, yeah. I would fly through Murph. Yeah. And it was killing me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I do this? I'm on display now.
Totally.
For everybody to see my pain. That area is a real, Bondi's known for the prettiest people in Australia. Oh, yeah. It's their West Hollywood.
Okay.
It's their, and they all go there. They all live there. A lot of the celebrities live there because it's a B&B scene kind of place, and all the cafe. It's cafe culture. And so that's not representative of
the whole thing.
Not in the least bit. However, it was so funny because that was the last place we were, and then we just flew back yesterday. Yeah. And my wife and I were standing at customs, and I was like, look at all these ugly people. I mean, the most beautiful people in the world.
Oh, totally.
But that place where you were, that calisthenics gym, there's a famous story. I'm trying to think up his name. I've met him a million times, and I should remember his name. I might have talked about him once on the podcast before. He's a Russian guy. Russian. I'm looking it up on Google because people won't believe me when I tell you this.
Okay.
And then you can Google it and you'll see pictures of it. So there's a Russian guy that works out there that used to climb out at the rocks at the headland. Okay. Ben Buckler. They throw a rope off and they climb the rope. And they just do rope climbs, like a lot of the Russians. There's everything in Bondi. Every national, the Brazilians, the Russians, the Asians, So they throw this big rope off and they practice rope climbing. Well, the big Russian guy who's like the leader of all the Russians, someone didn't like tie it off.
No.
Or it ripped or something, and he fell and broke something really bad. I think he was, he's in a wheelchair for a while. I'm going to look up Russian calisthenic guy.
So you mean the rocks by like where you hike up? Over by the water?
So the north end.
So
there's North Bondi and South Bondi. The north end, those rocks that are right out, that like hang over.
Yeah.
They would throw a rope off and climb it a lot.
Oh shit!
And they just do like all kinds of rope climbs on it. And anyway, so he fell. But before that, back in the day, he was working out at the gym, and some guy came down and gave him an attitude, and the guy had a ponytail. And apparently, he like held the guy down, cut his ponytail off, then climbed this flagpole that's right there.
Shut up.
And taped the ponytail to the flagpole. And for years, like I heard this story, and then like for years I would go down there and there it was.
Shut up.
Taped up there, and I would see it. And I think I can find a picture of it on so people can't go, oh, this is fucking bullshit. That's just an old wives' tale. No, there's a picture of the hair taped up there. I checked for it this year. It's gone.
Oh shit!
But I mean, it was years. It was up there.
That is insane.
But I think I found there's the one guy who's like insane. This guy, Marcus. Marcus is the guy. Marcus is the guy that I'll do Marcus Bondi.
I've for sure seen like over the course of years, like the same crew there. You know,
Yeah,
like,
they're all there, and it's a big deal, and they love muscle ups.
Yeah, muscle ups. Like,
oh no, this isn't. I'm sorry, Marcus is the trainer guy, and he's pretty freakish. MarcusBondi.com. This guy teaches his own classes, and he's a calisthenic freak. Look at him.
Wow.
Yeah, but look, there he is at the. Then I should have interviewed him while I was there. There's another Russian guy. Fuck, I forget.
Those bars are hard, man. Like because they're like stainless steel kind of because of the ocean, probably.
Yeah,
it's kind of like like our rings here. Like you're not gonna crank out your 30 muscle ups for time, and because they're all metal and weird. Over there, it's like a hard grip deal.
Yeah, it's really hard. They're a little different. I was on the beach the other day in Bondi, and I'm playing with my daughter, and all of a sudden these guys in banana hammocks, like all
budgie smugglers,
budgies, come out of the water, and they look like a bunch of like gay European men together. And I'm looking at them like, look at these fucking guys. Yeah. And all of a sudden they go, "Hey, Eddie." No. And it was the Adelaide Crows AFL football team. And I had just done a show for their team. And they're like, "Hey, Eddie." And the first thing I go, "The fuck are you guys wearing?" I go, "Put some pants on."
I've been making fun of you for 200 feet here.
But somebody, I'm with my daughter. I'm like, "Don't look. Don't look." Right. And they just thought nothing of it because they're all like so fucking built perfectly and fit, and they're like, "Look at my body." Yeah, totally. Russian Bondi. I gotta find this guy, and then I gotta end because my guy's waiting for me. I think at Soho. Russian Bondi hair flagpole. Let's see it. Let's see. It's so funny. He's just he's a nice guy too. I don't want to talk shit on him. Here.
So is this like a tourist or like just a local?
He's a
the ponytail guy.
I don't know the whole story, but I wouldn't fuck with this guy.
Yeah. I said it was my set.
You know what? I'm gonna find it because I don't want to waste any more time. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna post it on our Facebook page and our Instagram because I find it so hysterical that like. He climbed a flagpole.
Dude, that's epic.
Climbing a flagpole is pretty hard to do.
Totally, especially with a ponytail in your head.
And then
personally, I've never done it.
Like, where was he keeping the knife? Right. Tarzan. Did he have it in his side while he's doing
hopefully
his
in
muscle
his teeth? Just full savage.
Let's see, Bondi rope climber. Here they are, Bondi rope climbers. Marcus apparently is the world record holder. Here, I'll say rope climber falls because that was a big deal that he fell.
Why do you stop drinking coffee, man? What?
There's a whole Bondi rescue about it. Dimitri, that's his name. I was looking at a very nice topless girl and I forgot what I was there for. And the next thing I know, my legs were completely smashed.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the fall.
Yeah, he fell completely. Man rescued after Bondi cliff fall. Yeah, so Dmitry Maskovich. I hope he doesn't get mad at me for telling this story. I could be wrong. Maskovich. Let's see, flagpole. Look at him.
Holy shit. That does look like a Dimitri.
Yeah. So, so he put, I'm going to find the picture. There he was when he broke, I think he broke both his legs.
Jesus. Wow.
I had something last to ask you about before I go. Oh, did you see Froning? It's going individual.
Is that real?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
I did not see that.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I think it's great because it's like watching a heavyweight title fight.
That's awesome.
We're going to get to it. Finally.
Is that an April Fool's thing? Is that real? Could be an April Fool's thing. Oh, shit.
You know what it was
day did you
on?
read it?
Fuck, I read it on fuck, it could have been.
You might be April Fool's.
I read it on Morning Chalk Up.
For sure it is.
Let me see what day this came out. It wasn't. Fuck, I fell for it.
That's awesome.
Motherfucker.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think Froning did it.
Oh, wow.
After 2014, I really needed a break from individual competition. Leading 3 teams to affiliate cup championships has actually made me a better all-around athlete without the wear and tear on my body. Now I'm ready to get back to it, and I have no plans on walking away. Hey, are you there?
No, dude. I'm just leaving the Peterson Museum right now.
Okay. Well,
Where are you?
I'm down in Venice. I'm about to leave here soon.
Do you want to meet up somewhere where we don't get stuck in fucking traffic like a motherfucker, or do you want to just head up there?
I'll call you in a few minutes. I'm going to be off here in a few minutes. I'm podcasting right now. You're on the show.
Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I'll call you in a few minutes. All right. Bye. Hi, podcast people. Yeah.
Fuck. That's awesome.
Continue reading. Morning Chalk Up. You got me. Good thing you said. I was really happy about this.
Yeah.
Because this is all a hoax. April Fool's Day.
Damn.
It would be so good if he would do it because there's no competitor.
I've always been on team Froning conspiracy theory that it was like a marketing deal to bring him out of the sport and bring him back as like a way to drive excitement.
I'm on team conspiracy theory drugs.
Yeah.
Not like I hate pointing the finger at any one individual, and I'm not pointing the finger at him. I just think drugs run rampant in CrossFit. Ricky Gerard kind of didn't just prove that, just, recently was talking to somebody who was like, it's just dumb, like to get caught. It's dumb. And I just think I think there are guys that don't, but it's like baseball. There are guys that do, there are guys that don't. Football, there are guys that do, there are guys that don't. And that could be.
Yeah.
It could, I'm not pointing the finger and be like, Rich Froning, you're
totally,
drunk. Yeah. I'm just going, that's one possibility that he just went, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to play this game. But he's still doing individual or team, and they're testing. So maybe not. Maybe it's just the wear and tear on the body and it's too intense. Yeah. When I interview these guys after they've been in the sport, they're all like, oh, dude, it's so nice to not be fucking killing myself and hurting all my joints. And, so could be that. And he talks about that. It's just not the intensity. And everybody that goes team, everyone says it's way more fun. It's way more fun to be on a team than it is an individual. And so maybe I take back my statement of
and it was way more fun. And I'm not Rich Froning, but when you could cherry pick your workouts back in like when I had my cup of coffee in the CrossFit games, when it's just like in the 2011 games and regionals combined, I probably worked out for like 7 minutes, because you didn't have to do all the events. I would just do like the 1 rep max thruster, like the 1 rep max snatch, and then, whatever. But now everybody's got to play. Sure, it's more fun than individual.
But there's also that when you're on a team, there's that breaking point where in individual you have to keep going, where in team you just look at somebody and they're like, I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready. And
work
you're like,
together more.
You're like, pick it up. Pick it up.
Totally.
I'm a very good team competitor. I take that back. I'm a much better team competitor than I am an individual because I have a quitting point where I'm just like, I'm not going to do that to myself. Yeah. But I also, like the way I'm built, I go and then I need a break and I go and I need a break. So once I recover, I'm ready to go again. But I just can't keep going. So in team stuff, I'm like, hey, I'm back again.
Let's interval this out, baby.
So I'm great at that. Not great. I take that back again. So I see why guys enjoy it and just, so I take back what I said, but I still do believe that drugs run rampant through CrossFit in the games. And I will stand by that. If anyone wants to give me shit about that, go ahead, come at me.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah. And I think people that are getting caught are the exception, and they are not doing it right, and they're not doing it smart. And then people will say it's expensive. Yes and no.
What's expensive, doing drugs?
They're like, these guys don't have the money. Yeah, they do.
Come on.
Yeah, they do. They do. They have enough money to do it.
Yeah.
If this is their life.
Totally.
Yeah. So, it's like Donald Trump. People will refuse to believe things about him because they just don't want to, or about the Democrats, whatever. I'm not using. He's just an example. So many people just refuse to believe.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's, again, like we talked about earlier, politics is a great experiment for that, where it's just like, it's just way easier to fully buy into like one lane and put your head down and go, and just more work to be like, well, this is cool. That's not, isn't cool at all. And I support this one that, it's just having your own nuanced story is just a little bit more responsibility.
The other argument I get from people is they go, you're just saying that to yourself because you can't ever get to the level that they're at, because their level of commitment, athletic ability, whatever it is, drive, hard work, you don't have that. So you justify it by saying they're all on drugs. That's not it at all. Without drugs, they are a million times better than me.
Yeah.
They are just using it to go that little extra distance. Not little, but a good extra distance. I'm not saying take away the drugs and Rich Froning or Matt Fraser or one of these guys is me.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
what I'm doing, it's like Lance Armstrong said, I beat everybody on drugs. I would have beat everybody off drugs.
Yep.
Everybody was on, so he was on.
Yep.
Take him away, he would still win.
Right.
But they all just up the level. And I think that's what goes on. And, you're around these people enough, as I have been around some of them, that you see that they will do every single thing legal to get that extra fraction of a difference. You mean to tell me when they see a gray area, they're not going to take it, and then that gray sometimes crosses over into. So I think I just would like to hear everybody go, oh yeah, of course. Like we watch bodybuilding and we all go, yeah, they're all on drugs. No one cares.
That's for sure what we want. Anybody would want is like honesty. It's the rules that force the dishonesty. That's and I'm not saying I know what like the right path to take is on this or what the rules should be, but I definitely wish a lot more people on drugs talked about it.
Yeah, because everybody's on a different nutritional pattern.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean because you have, it's not like, oh my God, he has access to meat and no one else has access to meat.
Totally.
You all have access to it.
Yeah.
So everybody's doing a different workout program, a different nutritional pattern, all the different things, sleep, whatever it is, recovery to get to where they're getting. Just because you're allowed to be on drugs doesn't mean if everyone else was doing drugs too. Which drug are you taking? Which one's helping you? Which one's not working? Some of them you're taking could be making you worse. It's there's so much that goes into it. And I'm all about honesty, and I don't want to live in this like world where everyone's lying to me. And the testing's a waste of money, and it's also creating this where we're all suspicious, and yet we don't want to believe, and then we do, and then I don't know.
Yeah.
I keep talking. I keep thinking one day we're going to get this like, all right, they're all on drugs, or none of them. We've declared that none of them have done drugs. And I don't think we're ever going to get that.
Yeah.
So, but look at bodybuilding.
For sure.
It's just known they all do drugs and no one gives a fuck.
Yeah, no one cares, and this is just, I don't have too much of any skin in the game, but it's like the safest way to do it would be to make it legal.
Yeah.
Because that's the argument of safety, right?
Yeah.
It's like the safest way to do it is make it legal because now information's available.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of like ignorant people doing drugs that they're ignorant about and like have half truths about. Sure. And that's way more dangerous than like the crowdsourced version of the thing being like, 100 milligrams of this, this cycle, that, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just clearer.
And it's all, that's a really good point you make. And then it's, if it was more well known and there's more testing and more people would say, it's like if they legalized all drugs, we put all the money from incarceration to rehabilitation, we could stop people. I think there's a lot of guys that would go, you know what, I don't, and there are probably guys in the games that don't use, that go, no, I'm too worried about my health and I'm pushing this at the, most natural means possible. But where does eating excessive amounts of protein cross over into, where you start using creatine to where you start using testosterone? There's natural ways to get up your testosterone. What about an unnatural way? There's so many different things that there's a whole spectrum of it.
Totally.
And we obviously have drawn the line somewhere. I don't know. I keep trying to get Tony Roberts or Anthony Roberts and who's the other guy? John Romano on this podcast. They're like impossible to get a hold of.
Really?
Yeah, I really want to talk to them. But thanks for doing the show.
Yeah,
I
thanks
appreciate
for coming
it
over.
so long. Thanks for making me go to a place I never wanted to go.
You set this thing up in probably 75 seconds.
Yeah, it was.
From the time you walked in the door to the time we were like, welcome to the thing.
I'm trying to get people in all the different, like Edmonton. I don't know who the fuck I can interview in Edmonton, Canada. Maybe Wayne Gretzky lives there.
That's right. Wayne Gretzky lived in your neighborhood.
I know, probably.
I know exactly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Emily Abbott lives, I think she's in Calgary.
I think you're right, yeah.
But I'm going to Calgary later in the year. But I don't know who. And no idea. Well, great episode. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you.
The book comes out. As you're listening to this, you can go to Amazon, order it. The name is again
Going Right.
Going Right. And let's get Logan up to the whatever the rankings are on. So everybody from Wadcast Podcast, he's not only, if you like this show, Logan has been such a great supporter of the show that you guys need to go get his book, because if you do, then it gets ranked really high on Amazon, and then he sells more books. And not only that, it's probably an amazing, I haven't read it yet, but it's probably an amazing book. I know you've been working on it a while, and I know all the subject matter, and I can stand behind it all. So get yourself the book and let us know what you think of it. And good luck.
Thanks.
Hope you're on the New York Times best-selling list, and then making me feel bad that I've never written a book.
That's awesome. Yeah, we jumped to number one, the number one new release in its category of philosophy.
Oh, awesome.
Pre-sale.
So you already did?
Yeah, we just got to keep the momentum going, because tomorrow it's live.
Okay.
So
as this airs, this will probably go up tomorrow or the next day. Buy this book. Do us a favor. Do Logan a favor, and do yourself a favor. And thanks for listening. And you can rate, review, and comment on iTunes. And that's about it. Thanks for listening, guys.